set, there's 30 in fourth grade. Those are the ones that are iPad 2s that can no longer be updated. So when a teacher asks for an app, we say, sorry, we can't do that. We don't have current iPads. So far they've been dealing with it because they have one-to-one Chromebooks, but they like to do iPads in their centers. So smartboards came in with Dr. Pat. So Dr. Pat came in 2011 and said, what do you mean you don't have any smartboards in the district? And for over 3 years, we put a smartboard in every classroom. So our smartboards are now we have 52 smartboards that are 9 to 10 years old. We purchased 31 part of the high school renovation, so those were all, actually we put in smart projectors, not an actual smartboard. So the high school has been updated, but the middle school and Parkviews are dated. They still work, we're still using them. The projectors burn out, we just replace the projector. But the boards themselves, it's just like a big mouse up there. As long as they don't get dinged or hit real hard, they seem to continue to work. So right now...
Did all the smartboards from the high school get used?
No, they're in storage. So we sold some of them because there were a lot that came out. 31 came out, and we didn't want to store 31, but we've got about 10 in storage. That if one does fail, we can bring another one out and use it. But I would like to start replacing some of them over the next couple of years. I mean, you wouldn't want to do them all at once, but I do have a list to possibly replace 10 a year. And printers and copiers, they're kind of in my supplies budget. If someone's dies, I just buy them a new one. But our printers and copiers, 5 years old. The copiers are on a 5-year lease. Our lease actually renews this year, so we'll be getting a whole new set of copiers in this year. So the copiers are on a lease program, so they are refreshed every 5 years. Printers, most of them are about 8 years old, and as they die, we replace them. Okay, can you go to the next slide?
When you mentioned storage, it reminded me, I wanted to share that our auction for the state supply warehouse sale, that was today. So we actually did well.
I gotta try it.
So I just have a quick question. I mean, being a computer novice, what goes wrong with a smartboard that they have to use? And what goes wrong?
They quit touching, like it gets off, like the sensors that are sensing where you're touching and stuff
They won't calibrate?
Yeah, they don't calibrate, they just kind of stop working. There's a motherboard in there, there's like a brain on it, and that's
Is there a way to
smartboard.
lease smartboards just because of the cost of that? I don't know if there is.
I haven't checked with Tierney on that, I know we had looked at it, 10 years ago when we were looking at that, but we haven't looked into that yet. Right now, what they're looking at is actually, instead of getting a projector with a board, is putting in those, we have in a couple of our conference rooms, it's an LED board. They're more like a big TV, but it's actually a touch, where the TVs aren't. They're about $3,500 a piece though, and so.
Check we can, because when I take a look at those types of things, I think some of those bigger cost items, it might be an advantage to lease, especially if we take a look at the cost of the house.
Yeah,
We're replacing every year.
we can definitely look into that. I know I had Tierney look at what, if I needed to replace 10 a year, what would I do? I've asked the community too, what are they doing? Are smartboards kind of leaving the scene? What is coming in place?
Yeah.
So yes, it's kind of we're still researching that right now is what we replace them with.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that? So I'm just curious, I don't know.
Not
Everyone's
for
still seems to be.
devices. I haven't.
And K-8 is different than the high school. The high school, we're able to get away with the big boards with the smart projectors, but in the smaller, the K-8s, they don't recommend those. At the high school, they do.
Check. I'm curious too.
And by the way, classroom technology is not an E-ratable expense. Data center is our next one, and data center.
Just curious, we've gotten a lot of computers through Marine Park. Do they share with other schools around, or is this?
The way Marine Park works is they send out a mass email, and you have to be the first to respond. And my phone goes off when I get an email. So I have a,
She's an alert system.
yeah, I have an alert system. If a message comes off Marine Park, my phone rings. And so then I know to quick go and say, yep, I want them. So Marine Park sends it out to everyone who's signed up to be on there. So yes, there's several that I've missed out on, or they'll say, you've gotten too much lately, we're not going to do anything, and they'll move on to the next. We've been lucky.
You had a lot.
We did quite, we even got furniture. I mean, there's Marine Park is really a lot of things. And they always offer it to the schools first, and then they auction when the schools don't pay. So data center is the next area. This is on already a 5-year plan. They recommend 5 years, but I already have these on. You can see I purchased in 18-19 the sand. We have it here 2 years ago saying I needed to replace that sand. Last year we replaced the servers. This next year we're replacing the backup server. So that's already, you can see that they're green, they're budgeted on that sheet, that's already part of the, because that is, if my servers go down, the whole district is down. So we make sure that those servers are continually kept within their lifespan. So that is the state of these data center. Can you hit the next slide?
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at what's green.
Okay. Infrastructure. So infrastructure is E-rate and Teach. So E-rate did end last year, but they have renewed it now. So E-rate is coming back. It's kind of modified this year, but then next year it'll be back again. So anything that is covered under E-rate is, it's 70% covered by E-rate, 30% covered by Teach. So it's
Can you just-
100% covered.
For those of us that don't know what exactly is E-rate and Teach.
They are funding sources from the federal government. Well, this Teach is state and then E-rate is
E-rate's federal. Okay.
So right now, E-rate pays our, our internet. So the internet costs, we have some internet costs, but 70% of the internet cost is covered by E-rate.
Okay.
So when we get a bill from WISNET for our internet, 70% of that is covered by the federal. We pay the 30%.
Okay.
So when I have on here the cost of internet,
I shut it down.
okay.
I plugged in this little itty bitty drive for this, and
It's back.
It's back.
I'll see it all on your computer.
There you go.
So that's what E-rate is a funding mechanism that we have.
Okay.
All the districts have. It's called category. Category 1 is your, there's 2 categories with E-rate. There's category 1 and category 2. Category 2 is equipment. So we used E-rate to buy all of the switches, all of the things that are in this list are covered under E-rate and we purchased with that. So they're kind of gray on this sheet because I didn't put them into my budget numbers because I already know I'm getting reimbursed for them.
Okay.
So switches, 5-year lifespan. The APs, the access points that are our Wi-Fi, 5-year lifespan. We have 48 of them that end, and I put, when their end of life is because they actually have end of lives on those where they'll stop getting updates. So we already know UPSs are power, they're power to our devices, and our firewall. So all of that is in a current state. Again, funding is E-rate and Teach. They pretty much have 5 years, but we purchase them in a 5-year cycle using E-rate. Oops. Oh, but I can't
You
click
want
on the
this?
link. Okay, so now we're going to get to this sheet that's on here. So if we go through this, you can see for 2021, that's what we're looking at. So I had put in the Windows desktops. Is this actually pointer? It is. So I figured 35 a year at the desktops. It's a cost $670. I think they'd be less than that. They might be closer to 500. Depends what kind of a desktop we put in. So these are just average numbers. I did have a computer lab in here, but we got a donation from Rain Park, so I took it out of 2021. Laptops, I was looking at purchasing 4 this coming year. The Chromebooks, we have 50,000 in there. That's what we're purchasing this year. iPads, I did say I'd like to purchase 30 iPads this year. It costs about, they're $299, I think. And smartboards, that's where that 30,000 came in for smartboards. Printers, looking at like 3 printers at $300 each. So the classroom technology numbers are there, and you can see that's where our hole is. That's where we don't have. It was never budgeted. Classroom technology hasn't been put into the regular budget. We kind of dealt with what we had, and when we needed it, we put it in. So now we're like, the smartboards are just starting to come up. The referendum really helped with the high school. So data center, you can see, is all green. We've got that covered. The infrastructure is there. But then we go down to safety. Can you scroll down on that at all? It's down a little bit further on that spreadsheet. There we go. Safety and security. Genetech is new this year, so that's a new expense. Actually, the Genetech, the actual hardware, we got a 5-year with our, Genetech is our security system, so it runs our doors and our cameras and all of that. There's a server that runs with that. We got a 5-year warranty on it, so it doesn't start until the year, the 5th year is when we'll see that 6,000 coming in. But we do have software, Genetech coming in every year, and they're going to be going through and doing all the updates on the servers and all of that. So that's the one under the fixed expenses, the fixed budget, that managed services, Genetech, that 3,400 is new. The other expenses we've had in every budget so far, we have 8,000 for Heartland, general supplies, instructional software we discussed, last night a little bit. We're spending 140,000 just on software in the district. Dues and fees, netbook repairs, we get that money from registration, website renewal costs, and our internet fees. So you can see the bottom total year 1, I show that year 1 is $368,000 if I added all these up. And that's, the budget that I usually submit every year is about $250,000. So that is where those numbers have increased. If I were truly to have a budget that would cover everything and not rely on Lorraine Parker, hoping that things last for 10 years, this would be the budget that I would present. And every year it goes a little bit.
Okay, so I just added up the things, so green means we've been funding that, right?
Correct.
So then I added up the dollar amounts and added up to about 70,000 short.
Yeah, I remember those numbers too. I was trying to remember where that number came off.
Could it be because E-rate's back?
30, that'd be 30, almost 40,000. I didn't think I had E-rate in that total. So I have my funding a little bit lower. So classroom technology, fixed budget, 115 in classroom technology, data center infrastructure. Go a little further down, it's got the blues on the back of your page is where the totals were. And those should have been totaling out. So E-rates, this year we have 26,000, teach registration fees 5,000. So I showed the year one needed is 323,800, assuming I get these funding sources. That's what I needed off of the 250. So about 75,000 more.
So the timing of this is good because we are going to start scrubbing and looking at the state of the state budget, working with the forecast model and determining, what needs to occur, prioritization for 2020-21. So getting a resource like this now is perfect timing versus after the fact, and we'll just have to start getting strategic here, which we always have done. So like, we'll look at the software and see what we can scrub out. We'll look at, but when it comes to the data center, it's pretty modest. You look at that's being covered by E-rate. The biggest part for us would be really trying to get in front of and starting to address the smart boards and Windows desktop. That's the devices
Right,
that are being used.
the classroom technology, again, that was all put in approximately 10, 11 years ago already when we really worked on getting the classrooms to be communication areas. If you close out of here then, any questions on this so far?
See, just so I understood what you said, the numbers in the grand total line, that's what's needed to keep everything up to date,
Right,
essentially,
and then we do have some funding sources that bring that down. So I did have so the teach was in this number, but then I pulled it out down here. So then I pulled 26 and 13 to come up with this year one total needed.
But we've been budgeting about 250,
Mhm.
which is okay.
Right. And then we wanted to just look at what the referendum, any other questions you have?
My question was, one of the challenges with planning for technology, always that you don't know what the next thing's going to be. And so I see that being a huge advantage of doing a plan and revisiting every year, because 5 years from now, something that's not smart boards that we haven't heard of yet could become the standard. So how do you try and account for those things?
Probably why I've never done a 5-year
You
plan.
just, you redo it every year.
But
Yeah.
You do, you
Right,
need
so you have to
adjust every
visit it
year.
and figure, okay, we're probably gonna maybe not do as many Windows desktop because they're becoming prehistoric or whatever.
Right, and will the Chromebooks one day be able to run the boards?
Yeah,
They say they can, I don't trust that. I prefer the teacher to have a desktop running those boards as opposed to trying to write about the Chromebook. But some places have done it, when they really have to cut down, they've gone to those measures. We haven't had to do that.
But, I think the trend has been things going into the cloud, things being web-based, and so then you see, like, let's just buy a Chromebook instead. You see that, but then they're still limited. They don't have printing capabilities, they don't have Microsoft Word, some things that we're just used to. So you need those labs. So the vision of a lab going away at like a high school level, no, it's not gonna happen. You're going to need labs. And with that, you need some pretty decent computers too to handle the kind of software that's out there. Because some of the modern software just takes up a computer just like that. So you're gonna need solid technology infrastructure. You're gonna need more and more of the filtering and the safety part to the software. So you just look at the news today, and what are they talking about? They're concerned about cyber threats and that kind of stuff. So you're gonna need strong investment in that to protect all your data. It just, nothing in here seems exorbitant, and we don't, when we look at our curriculum, you don't see large textbook purchases. What you see is the software trend growing, just based upon how the resources are being used. So if anything, that's what we're trying to figure out, what we can get in control of. What can we influence? Well, the age of a computer, I can't help that. A one-to-one initiative at a device being $250, that's nothing in the big picture. It's very important that we do that. So for us, we just have to be strategic, looking at what we need here and figure out what we can say no to Sue.
Mr. Fink is helping to get something, and what can I help you with?
Is Tech Ed lab figured in here?
Yeah, they were just replaced as part of high school referendum.
So
But yes, so they're in for 5 years from now that they're slated to for a different lab. So I've got every other year, one of the computer labs at the high school will get refreshed, is what's in the plan right now. Can you go back to the presentation and open up
Yep.
the referendum page?
Can I ask a
Yes.
question? What is the advantage of the Chromebook over the iPad?
Price, it's cheaper. I think it's got the full keyboard, so they can learn some of their keyboarding skills. And it's just what we, as a district, what we decided to go with. I mean, so the districts can choose. Some districts went iPad K-12. I don't know if they like that decision, I guess. I'm not sure. Most districts have gone Chromebooks. And
iPads are amazing. The apps that are available, I mean, it's very simple to navigate, but at the same time, like, you're not gonna teach basic word processing on an iPad.
so they do Google Docs. I mean, so they can collaborate with their teachers better with the Chromebook than they can with the iPad. As far as with the whole Google suite, the Google Docs and all of that, I think they use that. They use Canvas on them for their homework and those kind of things. I'm not sure, and I know that that's why they still have iPads for centers use. The kids will get them out and work on an app
Yeah.
in each of, at least the lower grade levels. So second grade has some, first grade has some, kindergarten has them one-to-one. All the way through fourth grade, we have iPads available to the students. We don't, after fifth grade, there aren't iPads. So they could come and get one, I suppose, but they haven't. So we had made the decision years ago to go with the Chromebook route and just take that route for, actually, first and second grade asked for them. So I think Becky, I don't know if you can speak to that, but first and second grade wanted the Chromebooks
And
and
I
were
believe part of that
excited.
intention was knowing we're getting ready for state testing. So the state testing, knowing it's being done on a computer that has a full keyboard, the thinking was to give those kids some exposure and the ability to become familiar with those keyboards prior to the testing happening in third grade.
Cost is a big part too. So instructionally, you know, we think that the actual Chromebook is a better device for helping us support the delivery and the actual work that kids are doing. But there's amazing apps that are out there, and a lot of those are free. So Apple's absolutely has a niche in the market, but they still have like, what are the, Google has Fire, Kindles. You know, like this Kindle Fires, I mean, those have apps in them too. Yeah, tablet. I think the key part is what about a tablet compared to a Chromebook? That's the discussion, and where those fit versus like picking a brand. But definitely, you hear anytime somebody talks about a tablet in education, they'll use the term Apple like that, iPad, just because we're used to that. We love them, but they're very expensive in the big picture. So this one now.
Yep. So then we figured we would go over the referendum and what we purchased with the referendum budget. So the referendum budget was $280,000 for technology. What we put in was that we had a phone system. We had to, up at the high school, we needed to convert to digital phone system. So we're running all digital phones up at the high school, but our middle school in Parkview are still using analog phones. They just go across the regular phone line yet, as opposed to being an IP or plugged into a network port. So, so we did upgrade the phone system at the high school. Smartboard systems, we put in 31 smartboard systems for a cost of $104,000. TVs and accessories, there are 27 TVs that were put in for digital display up there for $35,000. The audio fetch is just an audio system in the fitness center to be able to hear the TVs while you're working out if you wanted to. So again, we purchased 32 labs in the computer lab for Halipa, 26 computer labs and computers in the CAD lab. The yellow just means it refers back to this, that it goes back onto here. Infrastructure, access point and switches, we spent, I put number 1, but we spent 27,000 purchasing new switches up there. That did come out of, I don't think we ran that through E-rate, I'm pretty sure we ran that out of, because the APs, we ran that out of technology budget as opposed, I think E-rate ran out at that time. We had run out of E-rate money last year, and now it's back again. Fiber relocation, we had to reroute the fiber back up to the middle school, that was 10,000. We had some cable run charges from staff for 3,400, bought a laptop, cables, other parts, camera for Parkview. So notice what is not in there is the, I think it might be a little further down on the page.
But one question.
Yeah.
So Joe mentioned about leases. Like I know that in the past in other districts, we've leased phones.
Oh, okay.
So I know that that's an option. But when we talk about the phone system, that 24,000, that was high school, middle school? I can't
It was for
remember.
licenses to allow us to have digital licenses. We had to purchase 70 digital licenses and put some new hardware in to allow that. The actual phones, we had to buy new phones for the high school. So we had to purchase phones and licenses for digital.
So when there's a phone upgrade in 21, 22, what is that referring to?
And we need to look at the middle school part, you know.
Yeah,
At
that's
some
what I
point, we're
thought.
gonna have to
So
look at that.
that's something to consider.
Mhm.
So they're all voice over IP phones?
Right. So what isn't on here is the security system. The cameras, the doors, all of that whole Genetech system was not in the technology budget. That was covered in electrical or something. It was covered somewhere
Where's the
else, safety and security.
budget?
So that was there. So I wrote on there, the life expectancy on equipment in the referendum is 5 years or more, so these replacements do not factor into this technology 5-year plan. So I said the infrastructure costs were covered by E-rate and Teach were 35,000. Genetech system is covered under the base contract. The life expectancies of the cameras are 5 to 25 years. The issue isn't actually that the camera will not work. The issue is where are we going to be in 10 years with safety and security, and what will the software that's out there that's the latest and greatest still work with that camera. So there's probably 100 cameras that were put in the district, part of this referendum, because just not the high school got the cameras in the doors, that was district-wide. So Parkview now has cameras everywhere, the middle school has more cameras than they have. We only have 4 cameras at the start of this, we probably have about 20 now at the middle school, and we have about 70 cameras at the high school. So we probably have 100 cameras in the district now. We even have a camera here at district. So because everything is fibered together, we can put them all in one system. So the Genetech system is listed on here, but it really wasn't purchased out of the technology budget. So that's what so the referendum we did have an influx with the referendum when 10 years ago, when we put all that classroom technology in, that was out of Fund 10. All Fund 10 out of balance fund. Yeah.
Fund balance.
Fund balance. We had used the fund balance to get all that technology in the classrooms 10 years ago, the smart boards and stuff. Any questions on any of this?
Appreciate your work on that.
No?
It's a lot of work to pull this together.
So with that then, so kind of coming full circle, on this key performance indicator for technology 5-year plan, we're saying, hey, we have a 5-year plan, here it is, we think it makes sense to us. We have a challenge in this piece that we are looking at the white areas and saying now if we're doing right by the overall plan, we need to figure out some funds to cover this. It's about a $70,000 shortage right now. So $70,000 out of like 13.5 million, you know, it's not ideal. We'll have to work on it, but it always comes down to prioritization is the piece. So we're saying that we have a 5-year plan in place in this draft version. We've reviewed it. We're going to continue it. This is our document. We're going to bring this forward annually. So like at the beginning of the year when we're making purchase recommendations, it's going to be married with this. These are going to come together then annually. And then we're adjusting it depending on what's happening with our budget needs. So one of the biggest things you hear about are things being deferred in schools, right? Like capital maintenance, deferred, that's the deal. So the referendum was so big for us to take care of so much of the capital maintenance needs K-12. So depending on where things are at, we're looking strategically. We have to defer something, which is moving it to the next year, which is